So welcome to today's webinar, Service Line Warranties Program Overview. And I'm Fernanda. I'm the customer service rep at LAS. I'm usually the first point of contact. And today presenting will be Jeff Olson, who's Senior Director of Business Development for Service Line Warranties of Canada. And we have John Savoia, Senior Policy Advisor at the City of Hamilton and Finance.
Thank you, Fern. I appreciate the introduction, and good morning, everyone. And thank you all for attending today's webinar. And again, a special thanks to our host, AMO LAS. We've been a part of the LAS program since 2014, and we greatly appreciate the long-standing partnership that we have with such a great organization. I do see, I think anyway, that we have some folks on the call whose municipalities are already partnering with us in the program, and some that have yet to participate. And I want to say again, welcome to you all, and thanks for attending. As Ferd mentioned, we also have a good friend of mine and our first Canadian municipal partner, John Savoia from the City of Hamilton. He'll be able to provide you all with a peer experience of the program. He's been in it now for quite some time. About 9 years now in the program, or going into the 9th year, and how it has helped thousands of Hamiltonian homeowners since we rolled it out to their residents back in 2014. I will walk through a brief presentation that'll run you through the particulars of the program and how it can be of value to your homeowners and constituents. And in a nutshell, you probably already know this, but Service Line Warranties of Canada offers a low-cost, high-value warranty program for homeowners to protect themselves from the unwanted cost and inconvenience of service line failures, issues, things of that nature. It's a program that kind of sits outside of a typical homeowner policy. The service lines are generally not covered under a homeowner policy unless you have a specific rider to do so. But even in that case, this is set up as a service contract or warranty as opposed to an insurance product. So it does differ quite a bit from that. And I wanted to mention also that as of earlier this year, Service Line Warranties of Canada and our parent company, HomeServe, it is now owned by Brookfield out of Toronto. And for a quick background on Brookfield, Brookfield is a Canadian multinational company that's one of the world's largest alternative investment management companies with over 725 billion, and that's US, of assets under management as of 2022. And they focus on direct control investments in real estate, renewable power, infrastructure, credit, and private equity. So we are now owned by a Canadian company. HomeServe was originally out of the UK and has operations in North America as well. But we're now under Brookfield. And with that, I will walk you through this presentation, and then following that, turn it over to John for some insight as to how the program has worked there in Hamilton. So that first slide here, and obviously you'll see that there is a blurb from John, so I won't read that. That is comment that John gave us several years back. And I can let him talk about that further. But anyway, the Service Line Warranty Program by HomeServe, again, Service Line Warranties of Canada is the brand that we use in Canada, HomeServe being our parent, and then obviously that whole outfit was purchased by Brookfield. But we've been in Canada since 2014. That was when we launched with John in Hamilton through a RFP that he issued. I think he got approval for it back in 2012, and then it actually, the RFP went out in 2014. We then won that and rolled the program out in the fall of 2014. Later in 14 as well as when we partnered with AMO LAS, and the value there is obvious. AMO and LAS have really helped us grow this program substantially in Ontario by giving us exposure to the 444 municipalities that are inside of Ontario. And we probably would never have been able to grow at the rate that we have without that partnership. So we're very thankful for that. And as you can see there, currently through the number of partners that we have, we've got 75 Ontario municipalities partnering with us. And through that, we have enrolled 35,000 homeowners into the program with 65,000 policies. So For those that don't know, we offer a sewer line warranty, a water service line warranty, and also a interior plumbing and drainage warranty. And so that's what's reflected in that 65,000 policies. So as you can see, many of those homeowners have enrolled in more than one of our warranty offerings. And we have performed to date over 16,500 jobs. And it saved customers, homeowners, 8 million Canadian in those repair costs. So that should give you a sense of, it's not that there's a high incident rate on service line failures, but when there are, as you know, they're buried pipe, they can be significant, costly, and out of pocket for a homeowner. And you can see that the value here, we've already done 16,000 repairs. So those are all repairs that would have had to been done. Obviously, homeowner would have had to pay out of pocket, go find their own contractor, and pay them to do the work. So it's obviously, it's definitely a value. It's a very low cost thing, and we can get into the cost later as we move through the presentation here. But for a very low monthly fee, essentially you get coverage on those issues, and you can see we've done quite a few of them. And talk a little bit about infrastructure challenges. It's a national problem, obviously in Canada, same thing in the US, North America wide. Obviously, we've got aging infrastructure out there. That's a common topic that you all deal with. But here's some stats to give you a little better idea of just how big the problem is. So you can see there from the first line, you've got over 50,000 kilometers of water service lines, 27% of them are deteriorating and exhibit deficiencies. So obviously you're doing the work on the public side, but the private side has aged just as well. And obviously when they age and they deteriorate, you've got issues on them and they need repair and or replacement. So that's on the water service side. You can see on the sewer side there, 28% of them have issues. We see that pipe breaks have increased by 27% between 2012 and 2018. And what we found too is that smaller utilities have more breaks than larger utilities. I would imagine that obviously is, you're able to handle it, a larger municipality a little bit easier from a capital standpoint than maybe the smaller ones. And the challenge then for homeowners is obviously that pipe is buried. It's not something you're really paying attention to all that often. And when and if you do have problems on them, as I mentioned, it's not typically covered under a homeowner policy unless you had some sort of a rider for it. Not all insurance companies offer a rider, and if and when they do, it's a different product than this. That would be an insurance product, which would require a deductible and potential call out fees. And of course, the homeowner then has to go facilitate the repair and or replacement on the back end. When you set it up like we have in a warranty program and or service contract, we handle all of that back end. So there are no deductibles, there are no call out fees. We manage the contractors and bring them in, do the repairs. We pay them directly. So at any rate, it is a challenge for homeowners because when and if it does happen, most folks don't have the funding and or even want to pay for something like that to be repaired. But these things, these service lines, as you know, are subject to ground shifting, fluctuating temperatures. You get tree roots into your sewer laterals, corrosion, so on and so forth. I mentioned already, they're obviously buried, they're outside, they're underground, and you can obviously lose lots of water through those. So there's an environmental component to all of this as well. And then some common homeowner misconceptions. We find a lot of times, and I think John can speak to this when he has a chance to talk about how the program has worked in Hamilton, that many homeowners don't realize that those sewer and water lines are actually their responsibility. They're on the private side. It's not part of the municipal infrastructure, although tied into it, it's on them to repair and or replace those when they fail. Oh yeah, so yeah, I was reading that a little bit different, but yeah, the homeowner seems to think maybe that the city is responsible for those lines past the property line, but in fact they are not. And as I mentioned, they're generally not covered by a homeowner policy unless you have a specific rider to do so. And homeowners are often unprepared. So you can see here, these are some polls that we have conducted just to get a sense of, how much of a burden can an issue like this be to a typical homeowner. And you can see here that 78% of homeowners believe that utility providers should educate them on repairs preventative measures. One of the things that this program accomplishes, aside from just offering a optional warranty, is that when we send these letters out, and they're typically co-branded with the municipality that we're partnering with, we educate the homeowners through pictorials and verbiage and so forth, to let them know that, look, this is actually your responsibility. These are your service lines. If they do fail, they can be costly. Here's what it could cost. And you would obviously have the burden of having to pay for it. So we educate those homeowners that they do actually have this responsibility. And from a municipal standpoint, it's nice because we're spending the marketing dollars to send this educational piece out to the homeowners, to let them know that on behalf of the municipality. And if they want to protect themselves, well, then they can enroll in it. 58% of homeowners have had a home repair emergency in the last year. And you can see here, the bottom one is probably the most significant. And that is, and this is also reflected in the US market as well. I think in the US market currently, with our economy, we've got about 60% of people live paycheck to paycheck. But you can see there, 1/3 of Canadians do not have the funds to address these types of repairs to their home. So not only would you be unprepared, but who has the funding, to make these types of repairs, and who would want to anyway, right? It's the last thing you probably want to spend thousands of dollars on, is a jammed up sewer line. And what we try to do, we deliver peace of mind. What we're trying to do is offer a low cost. Basically, it's a monthly subscription. And once you're in the program, if you have any issues whatsoever on any one of those 3 products there that you see, the sewer lateral, the water service line, and then interior plumbing and drainage, which is basically all the pipe inside the home. Should you have an issue with any one of those and you're enrolled in the program, you simply call us, and then we dispatch a local plumber contractor to come out and do the repairs, and then the bill goes directly to us. So we deliver peace of mind to homeowners by taking that risk away, from mitigating the risk of failure and cost on those lines. So you'll see here, when I say, pretty reasonable and cost-effective pricing, it's only about $8 a month on the sewer lateral. We find those obviously have a fairly significant incident rate on them. They've got old pipe, they can belly, they can get roots in them, so on and so forth. They can get clogged, obviously, because you're putting solid stuff down those lines. But for $8 a month, the homeowner basically offloads that responsibility onto us. We cover up to $8,000 per incident. There is no cap to the number of claims that a homeowner can make once they're in the program, but each claim is capped at $8,000, and it's a repair, replace clogged or broken exterior lines. So we're always going to try to repair it first. We want to leave as little trace as possible. We're not trying to dig up the yard and dig up a driveway or anything like that. So we'll try to replace it, but if for some reason we cannot do it, it does provide coverage to replace that line if necessary. You see on move to the right on the water line coverage, it's about $6 a month, and it gets you up to $5,000 per incident on the water lines. We have had, and John can probably speak to this in a minute, but when you had that polar vortex years ago, we had a lot of frozen water lines in Hamilton, and we were able to get those folks thawed out much quicker than they would have on their own. So the water line coverage does include coverage for frozen pipe as well. And then the last one there, in-home plumbing coverage, $9 a month, $3,000 per incident. Again, those are for your interior water sewer drain lines. And so a typical repair is a jammed up, kitchen sink, block sink. And, you'd have to get, if you didn't have the coverage, you'd have to get somebody out there. Could be at the worst time, who knows? You got a blocked up sink, it's not draining. You got to get a contractor out there, $200-300 cost just to unclog a sink. So that's what that coverage is for there. You can see this is just part of our service parameters on the bottom there, but it's obviously it's a 24/7, 365-day-a-year program. We basically do in North America, so use that, but we do a repair about every minute. across all of our partners. We've got over 1,000 municipalities in the US that are partnered in this program. So we're doing repairs on Christmas and New Year's and all the worst times possible. But every minute about is when we're working on some sort of a service line. We use only locally based, fully licensed and vetted contractors. The idea there is they're obviously going to be able to provide the best coverage, work with the municipal bylaws and codes that are there, pull the permits, do these repairs the way the municipality would want them done. They are obviously connected to your infrastructure as well. So we offer this basically to any local contractor that wants to be in the program, but we will vet them. Obviously, we need to have them be licensed, bonded, insured, and so forth. But we also keep that revenue then locally, right? Those contractors are in your neighborhood and not trying to exclude them. So we don't do the repairs ourselves. We contract that out. There are no annual or lifetime limits. There's no deductibles, as I mentioned, no service fees, forms or paperwork. All the repairs are guaranteed. We've obviously got quality control. The biggest thing for us is the customer experience. And so far we're tracking about 98% roughly customer satisfaction rate. So those contractors are front facing partners in this program. So we need them, to withhold or uphold our customer satisfaction standards. They're doing a great job up there. And, when we do send out a questionnaire to the folks that we do repairs for, and of the ones we're getting back, that's what we're tracking at is 97, 98% customer sat rating. So very good there. And obviously there's no pre-inspection required. That would be impossible for us to do that. So basically it's offered to all residents, all homeowners inside of the service territory of the municipal partnership that we're in. The only caveat to that is we do have a 30-day wait. So once they enroll, there's 30 days before they can actually make a claim. That's obviously to weed out some of those that already have existing issues, call up and, buy a warranty, get the repair done, cancel. They are able to do that. We don't have long-term contracts or anything like that with the homeowner, but there's no pre-inspection, but there is a 30-day wait. These I won't read through them, but maybe just the Hamilton one there I would highlight since John's on the call. But you can see there, again, I won't read it because you can do so, but it's clear that she says, I will never regret being a member. Thank you, recommend it to anyone. It's rewarding, know someone dependable is there to help you when you need it. And this is just reflective of what we've already seen with that customer satisfaction rate that we have. This is a lot of what we get, our fantastic customer testimonials. We are dedicated to those homeowners, especially because we're partnered with you in the municipality. We cannot have unhappy customers, so we do whatever it takes to make sure that they are happy. But by and large, these are the types of testimonials we get. And you can imagine why. I mean, if you didn't have one of these programs and all of a sudden you got to dig in your front yard and you're shelling out thousands of dollars to fix it, if there was a way to mitigate that risk and remedy it, then have all those repairs done with a simple phone call, we get pretty happy customers from that. And it's a solution for both residents and municipalities. The residents, it's an obvious solution because they don't typically have coverage through their homeowner policy. If they do, to highlight that again, first off, you'd have to have your insurance company provide this type of rider. Secondly, you'd have to pay for the rider. And then thirdly, that rider would be operated much different than this. Again, it would be left to the homeowner to figure out how to get the thing repaired and then go back to the insurance company to get reimbursed for what the cost of those repairs are. Less obviously the deductible. I've seen deductibles on some of these into the $1,000 to $1,500 range, so it's significant just on the deductible side. But it's a solution for residents. Again, we're going to educate everybody when we send the letter out as to what their private service line responsibilities are, and then provide a optional. I want to make sure we're all clear on that. It's an optional service contract for them to cover those. They're not tied into a long-term contract. They can basically disenroll whenever they so choose. But there's your solution for the residents. Also, you as a municipality offering this potential optional vetted service provider to protect them, they think highly of the municipality for doing so. One, educating them, letting them know that there could be issues there, but two, that you have explored this and there's a vetted, legitimate, I should mention, I mean, HomeServe, prior to being acquired by Brookfield, we were a $4 billion company operating in about 8 different countries and have been doing so since the early 90s. So we're about as vetted and legitimate as you can get. And for a resident, obviously, it's just a peace of mind. It's sign up, become a member, and make a call when you have an issue. On the municipal side, it does end up, and I'm sure John can speak to this, but it does end up over time reducing calls to the city, because without this program, the first thing they do when they've got an issue is to call the city. They've got a backed up sewer line. They don't know if that's on the private, if they even know it's whose line it is, but that's who they end up calling. You send out a service truck, you do a analysis, or run a camera down the line and find out, well, the blockage is actually on the private side. Well, then you're left with saying, well, you're just going to have to call a contractor and get it repaired. So over time, as the program becomes more visible in a partnership, and you have thousands of homeowners enrolled, it ends up obviously reducing calls to the city. The calls come to us first, and then the repairs obviously are timely. The way we typically work this is a call comes in, we respond to that homeowner within 2 hours, and then try to get a contractor out there as fast as we can, typically within a day. And that's pending obviously, convenience for the customer, so that and the homeowner, so we can make it convenient them from a scheduling standpoint. But we get there as fast as we can, and we get the repair done as quick as possible. And again, we're using all local contractors, so we're keeping that revenue inside the municipality. The program is totally turnkey, and by that I mean the only thing that the municipality is really doing with us is use of your logo, on the envelope that we send out in the marketing piece, the actual letter itself. The idea behind that is that it instantly provides legitimacy to the homeowner. It's not a scam. The municipality has looked at this and has partnered with, not necessarily endorsed, but partnered with a legitimate service provider. So turnkey being obviously, then once we go into partnership with you and we get use of the logo, we spend all of the money on the marketing. And we send it out, the offer out to every homeowner inside your service territory. So we don't target market or anything like that. But we handle all of the upfront cost of that, which, as you can imagine, if you're sending out, $1 or $2 cost per mailing, and you're sending it out to some of our larger partners that have, several 100,000 homes that we're sending these mailings out to, there's a significant upfront investment on our behalf to educate everybody and provide the offering. But we handle all of that. That all comes out of our budget. And then same thing on the claims and the customer service. The only thing you're really doing inside this partnership is helping us lend legitimacy with the use of the logo. It's kind of just a co-branded marketing arrangement. And also what we find is that when you're going to spend this kind of money up front to educate everybody, and you're running into the hundreds of thousands of dollars in costs, what we're hoping for is at least a decent open rate on the mailing itself. And obviously a good opening rate translates into more enrollments and so forth, and more people that we can cover. Were we not to have that, and we simply put it out with our logo on it, you can imagine that would typically look like a junk mail piece. Nobody knows who we are, and they would probably not even read it. So if you're not even going to open it, you don't read it, well, then you'd never know that maybe that you had liability on these things, on these service lines, and that there was an optional program to cover it. There's also no cost to the city to participate in the program. You can see there that we do a 5% revenue share back. Some of our municipal partners take that. I know John does, but like the Region of Peel is a partner. They were our second largest one, so they're coming up on 7-8 years, I think, inside the program. What they opted to do with that is just in lieu of taking a revenue share off of it, they just had us discount the product price for the different warranties that we offer, and offer that to the homeowner. So you can go either way. It's up to you on whether you want to take the revenue and or pass it off as a discount on the products. And why should you offer this program? We get it, right? These are private service lines. It's not, part of what you do, but it is connected to what you're responsible for. Obviously, the infrastructure is tied together, and your residents have exposure on them. Again, we're not saying that there's tons and tons of these lines that fail, but when they do, we know they're expensive, and we know they're a hassle and a pain for a homeowner to repair and or replace. So why should you offer it? Well, these expenses can be very hard on a homeowner budget. You're basically kind of extending a service that you're not having to make any capital investments on by partnering with us. Again, by us sending out those letters, we're going to educate everybody on what their responsibility is and where the municipalities begins and ends. So we're going to provide the cost of that education, and your homeowners are better off knowing that than not knowing that. And you never know when you're doing repairs, you could have a brother-in-law in there not pulling a permit and doing a shoddy repair or something like that. And again, that pipe is obviously connected to yours. So we're obviously only using licensed, bonded, legitimate permit pulling contractors to do the work. And we mentioned there, the city can further help us residents by generating funds for important programs. I'll let John speak to how he's doing that there in Hamilton. But with that's basically based off that royalty piece, the 5% that goes back. We have partners that put it into low income assistance programs, parks and rec, keeping the water rates down or whatever. But it's just another revenue stream for you by simply partnering up with us in the program. And then homeowners obviously deserve the best customer experience. That is our pride and joy. That's what we do. That's why we have such high CSAT ratings. We want those homeowners to be happy, and we want them to be protected. And we are committed to helping homeowners. So we do have a home serve cares program is what we call it, but we do make funds available to help those that may not be able to afford the warranty. So we look for, you can see here, it kind of explains it, but some folks just can't afford it or weren't in the program and all of a sudden have this catastrophic failure on a service line. We will come in on a selective basis and do those repairs pro bono. So that's our home serve, our Service Line Warranties of Canada CARES program. If you want further detail on that, we can certainly provide that more than just this simple slide, but we do hold back some funds to help those that we can't normally help that are subscribers in the program. And this is kind of just a repeat, but we do have outstanding contractors that we work with in Ontario. They've been doing obviously thousands of repairs for us. So we have built very good relationships with them. We couldn't be more proud of the service that they do. But we also oversee all of that. So we have a team of 6 of us in Canada. I'm actually in America, and I'm talking to you from the US, but the other 5 are all based in Canada. And we do have one, her name is Daisy, and she basically manages all of our contractor network up there to make sure that, they're performing to the standards that we have set forth in our partnership with them. We do on-site inspections. So she's out meeting with contractors and showing up at homeowners repair jobs all the time to ensure that that experience is the best it can be for Canadian homeowners that actually have a problem and have to call in and make a claim. And we do performance reviews with them and do, contractor scorecards against key performance indicators. So you can see there on the right side of that, we do bi-weekly KPI performance reports, quarterly scorecard reviews, regularly scheduled regional operation manager meetings and so forth. And we do an annual contractor conference. And then you can see there that last piece, we do have a contractor portal for training, communication, scorecard, and survey reporting. So they are a front face, as you know. We're not doing the repairs ourselves. So it's extremely important that they are the best of the best. And we feel confident that we have that in Canada. And ensuring partner brand integrity. So the one pushback we get on this, and again, John can probably speak to it as well, is, the concern is, well, if you're going to use our brand, we can't have you do anything that would in any way reflect negatively on the city logo or the city brand and so forth. And what I can say to that is that we take that so seriously. We couldn't possibly be in a partnership program like this. We couldn't possibly have 75 Canadian municipalities partnered with us and over 1,000 in the US if we didn't make that the highest of priorities. We do not want anything to reflect badly on the municipality for partnering with us on this program. So we are true stewards of your brand. And through that, there's a couple of steps that we take to make sure that happens. And so we start there with the ethical marketing practices. We are not trying to hustle people into this. Obviously, it's an offering, so there is a bit of a sales pitch to it because there clearly is value to the program that we offer. But we want to do it in an ethical way. So we would never target market. For instance, the people that typically sign up for this program initially are seniors and fixed income and things like that. Well, we could probably save a lot of marketing dollars by not sending it to younger folks who may be less inclined to buy one of these programs, or send it to a part of the city that maybe has newer homes. So they would be maybe less inclined as well. Well, that would be a target marketing. We don't do that. We also ensure that all of our partners have full approval over the utilization of your brand in the program. So sometimes we send it out with just the logo of the city on the envelope. Others have opted for a co-branded arrangement where it's this SLWC logo plus the cities on the envelope and then the letter itself. But we want to make it clear to that homeowner that this is not a city program. This is a program offered by a service provider, and that it is optional, clearly optional. It's not something they're required to do. So the messaging is very clear, and we give the municipal partner obviously full approval. So we would never ever send out a communication to a homeowner without your prior written approval of the letter itself, the verbiage in the letter, and so on and so forth. Customer-centric billing and collections. So as I mentioned before, the homeowner themselves, when they enroll in the program, they can cancel at any time. So it's not some program where we're trying to get them enrolled for years in order to offset our costs on the service side of it. They can enroll anytime they want, and they can get a full refund within 30 days. There's no late fees or restitution for unpaid balances after a policy is canceled if there wasn't a claim filed, and claims are covered for accounts in arrears if brought up to date. We obviously do all of the billing with the homeowner. You're not involved in that piece of the service at all. And then proactive issue resolution. Obviously, when you do thousands and thousands and thousands of repairs, you can occasionally have potential issue as to the repair itself. And so we have frontline agents that do a one-call resolution for the vast majority of any issue that does come up. But in the rare occasion that we do have an escalation, we have 17 agent customer advocacy team that handles anything that has escalated in any way. And then the bottom piece there, real-time insights team, is another group of ours that monitors social media to directly resolve issues via email or phone. So rather than wait till they're posting anything nasty, we want to get a hold of that homeowner and try to figure out how we can make them happy. And then low complaint frequency. So you can see there 0.054, 12-month average complaint frequency across 900,000 jobs and over 3 million customers for all complaint types, and that's service, billing, and marketing. So that number there that's a North American number. So it's inclusive of Canada, but that does include our US market, obviously, with the 3 million customers that we have in the US. And then how do you partner with us? You can see there a presentation to council if desired. We certainly can do that. I've found in the larger municipalities that generally doesn't happen. I know John did all the presentations in Hamilton, not me. But we do in many cases with the smaller municipalities, we may be asked to be a delegate at a council meeting. We're certainly happy to do that, and can do that either in person or through a web conference. We request program agreement, sample council resolution. So obviously we have 75 partners in Ontario, thousands, over 1,000 in the US. So we have many examples of agreements that are out there, both large and small municipalities, and then many sample resolutions as well. And then as far as once we get the partnership off the ground, obviously council would typically have to approve this and approve the marketing agreement that we have. And then we would need the municipal seal logo for the communication pieces that we would be sending out. And then you would review and approve the welcome kit. We do press releases, trying to get out in front of this, so it's not a surprise when homeowners receive these mailings in the mail. And we can certainly do a web banner, marketing letter. I know John has a designated page on the City of Hamilton website, for this program with all sorts of educational material for the homeowners as well. It talks a little bit about our contact centers. So we have many awards for our contact centers. They are the best of the best in the service industry. And you can see here we've got an in-house center, obviously 640 plus agents. Now, again, this would be inclusive of North America, not just Canada. But live repair management, agent support, obviously every day of the year, all day long, 7 days a week. And we have call handling capabilities in 300 languages, if you can believe that, but we do. We have obviously serves a lot of homeowners that don't necessarily speak English or French. Intensive new hire ongoing training programs, comprehensive quality insurance, includes monthly review, 3 to 4 calls per agent. And you can see there, so basically it just speaks to the training that we provide our agents. So we're very confident that those being the ones that are actually speaking to the homeowner when there's a problem, that we put them in the best hands possible with the highest trained and most qualified contact center agents. And you can see there on the bottom piece, employee bonuses are tied to customer sat scores. So we do hold them responsible for how happy our customers are. And just a handful there, obviously, whoops, I've got 79 in there. So it looks like I've got more partners than 75 that I said. City of Ottawa is a recent partner of ours. City of Hamilton, John's had this program since 14. Region Appeal, I mentioned, they were our second large one. I think Wawa was our second one after Hamilton, but then Peel. But you can see there, Greater Sudbury is just launching here in April. They approved it in December. We're just going through the approval process on the marketing piece and enrolling the local contractors there in Sudbury. And we will roll the program out to those folks shortly. Western Canada doesn't really apply here. You never know who might tune into the webinar, but we have most recently just had several smaller municipalities in Alberta. We are expanding throughout Canada. We're not really in the Quebec market as of yet. As you probably know, there's some unique challenges to that market itself with our ability to do everything in French. So we are working on that. We will have that. We don't have it right at this moment. However, we have expanded westward outside of Ontario. Ontario was our first kind of launch point in Canada, but we have, as you can see, there are several partners in Alberta as well. And I'm personally working in the Vancouver market right now as well. So shortly, this will be, offered in all provinces in Canada, much like it is in all states in the US. With that, I want to just hand it over to John and have him maybe just speak just a little bit about how well the program has worked for him in Hamilton and his homeowners there.
Thanks, Jeff, and welcome to everyone who's on the webinar. I guess I'll take us back to how Hamilton ended up becoming the first partner and actually bringing this type of program to Ontario. So back in 2011, we were approached by HomeServe and by the former parent company of Service Line Warranties of America, and ended up becoming Service Line Warranties of Canada. So we were approached by both companies. I think there were some other municipalities, including City of Toronto and maybe others, that were approached and just describing how the warranty type program works down in the US. So I, along with our folks from risk management and public works and water, we basically took it to our senior leadership and thought it was an interesting concept, one that would be perhaps well received by our council. So in 2012, I brought this to our committee of the whole, and all our councilors had experienced over the years situations where a constituent would call them up that, typically with their sewer line, that it had collapsed, clogged up with tree roots or what have you, and just to be told, well, it's on a piece of part of the pipe that belongs to you as the property owner, and there's really nothing the municipality can do. You need to get a private plumber and incur that cost on your own. So obviously that's a difficult situation for any councilor or city staff to have to do that to a homeowner. And so there was very unanimous support by our council to move forward with this. And so at that time, again, we had two companies had come forward to us. So our council directed us to issue an RFP. We did so in, I wouldn't say the very beginning of 2014. And we had two proposals submitted, one by HomeServe and one by the brand new Service Line Warranties of Canada. And SLWC won that, and the contract was awarded in April of 2014. And as Jeff mentioned, we launched, I think it was August, September of 2014. And what we, lesson learned was to always do a press release before you do your mailing. We didn't. And so that's not, so believe me, do a press release before you launch. And so from there, now we have been, since then, we have just shy of 14,000 policies. And there have been over 10,400 claims from Hamilton residents, and that equates to $4.3 million basically in cost avoidance from having to make these type of repairs. So it certainly has been well received. We've, this type of program, if anything went wrong, believe me, I would hear right away. Most of the complaints that we got were actually more around billing and issues, and it was just kind of growing pains for SLWC with Canadian banks and that type of thing, because it was out of the US. So there was a lot of back office type issues. But the good part is, as far as service goes, there were no issues. We didn't get any type of escalated complaints that repairs weren't being done. The contractors that SLWC has got on their roster locally have provided great service to our residents. So we haven't had any type of complaints of that nature. We do take, as Jeff mentioned, the 5% royalty. So we just route it to our rate supported budget. So it is relatively minor. I think last year was $65,000 was the revenue we got, and it's just over 330,000 since 2014. And so just to put that in perspective, our annual budget is approximately $220 million. So 65,000 is modest, but it is something. We have 145,000 residential water accounts. So clearly we have a number of we probably have about another 10,000 properties that are not connected to the water system in our more rural areas of the city of Hamilton. But those folks can still partake within the there is septic line coverage, and there is also the in-home plumbing and drainage, which is also offered here in Hamilton. That's obviously available to any residential property owner, regardless if they're connected to the city's municipal water and wastewater system. So it's gone very well. We have, our original agreement was for a 2-year with 2 5-year renewals. We are now in our last 5 years, and I can't believe that it's already been almost 9 years. And we have to get a new agreement in 2026. I didn't think, didn't really think it would come that fast, but it is around the corner. So the program's gone very well with us. One of the key things that our council was objectives right from the very beginning was education. Very often, whenever someone has a problem that they're not getting water inside, or when they flush the toilet, that wastewater is not ending up out in the city street, they automatically were calling the city. And so that education piece was quite significant. And for us if we were to do a separate mailing to all our water customers, we'd be looking at around $175,000 to do that. And here we're able to do this twice a year. We manage and improve the content of the marketing letter. And so front and center has always been the education piece. We put the little graphic in there showing, from the property line in is homeowners, and from the property line to the street, that is, in our case, is the cities to deal with. And there are other cost savings beyond what Jeff listed, and primarily it's around cost savings for the city. So what happens is where someone has the service line warranties coverage, and they have, they smell sewer gas, or actually have a backup, they call the 1-800 number. The contractor comes there. When they scope the line and they find the problem is past the property line, and therefore the city's responsibility, they in turn provide that to our public works folks. And so we don't then have to send a contractor out there to go rescope the line and find where the problem is. We already know where the problem is. We've got the video, and we can go ahead and more quickly address the homeowners' problems. So that is a savings there, because otherwise if it had just been a private contractor, we would have had to incur that cost to basically rescope a line to find a problem that we already know where it is, or already is known where it is. So that's another been savings that it's been for our public works folks, is that. But from an education perspective, we certainly have achieved that goal. I know that homeowners don't have that question anymore as to, is it mine to deal with? Yes, it is yours to deal with. And now they have the an affordable option to manage that responsibility. So it's gone well here.
Thank you, Jeff and John. Yeah, let's look at the Q&As. Okay, so the first one, I'm thinking this might be a resident who's, I'm not too sure, it just says anonymous. So $9 per month for in-home plumbing. That's amazing. How do I participate? Oh, can a resident participate without the municipality being involved?
No, that's we're not currently selling direct to consumer. That person would have to have a partnership locally in your local municipality to do this. The idea behind that is that it would be very difficult on one-off from, this city to that city, that city to that city. How would you manage a contractor network doing that? So the answer to that is, yeah, it's a great value, but you do need to, as a homeowner, you need to have your municipality participate in the program.
Okay, thank you. John, can you speak to the process by which this program was introduced to council, approved and moved ahead, including any procurement, etc.?
Well, I guess I kind of already covered that.
Yeah.
So in our case, we issued an RFP because at that time, we had interest from two private companies. We knew of others out there, but since then, HomeServe has acquired the former parent of Service Line Warranties of Canada, so it's all one company now. If we had to do it now, I don't think we would actually issue an RFP. We would probably issue an RFI to see if there was any other competitor. But I believe Peel Region did that about a year or two ago and found there was no other interested parties. So we did get I don't want to say pushback, but some wondering, at that time they were all American based. Now we know that HomeServe is now been acquired by a Canadian firm, so that no longer is valid. But we basically indicated that we did a request for proposal. It is open to the entire marketplace, and we had got only the two proponents at that time. So that's a process we followed. We had council direction to issue an RFP. We also had council direction to report back after the RFP before the contract was awarded. And I did that in, I believe it was April of 2014. So it was basically two reports that went to council. I think I did a presentation with the first report. And since then, we've just provided council some updates, periodic updates, including one just a couple months ago, because we had a significant change in our council after the last election. And so we only have two councillors left on council that were there back in 2014. So we've had to undertake some re-education of our councillors, so this way they understand this partnership that the city has.
Okay, thank you. Would the investigation review of odors in a house by a plumber be covered by the interior plumbing and drainage plan?
Yes, the answer to that question would be yes.
Is the program only for residential properties? Like, can the municipality include their properties as well, or for businesses? Can businesses participate?
No, this is for residential properties only. The idea behind that is obviously when you get into the commercial space, you've got such a variance on the underwriting and the line responsibility in terms of costs and stuff like that. You may have, a much bigger building with a far larger sewer line and so forth. So at this point, we do not cover commercial properties. It is only residential.
Thank you. And I'm probably going to mess this up, but I hope I pronounce this correctly. I'm with the township of Manitouage.
Yep.
So who is the closest contractor, as they don't have a local one? How would that work if there aren't any contractors within the municipalities?
That's a great question. And fortunately, on this call, I have two of my account managers that may be able to speak directly to Manitouage, because I don't actually know that. But what I can say to that question is that in all cases, we're going to try to find the most local contractor that we have. But per that question, you can see, well, what if there's not a plumber that can do this type of work locally? Well, then we're going to try to reach out, as close as we can to a nearby municipality to bring that service in from the outside. We're limited to who's there, right? But so is the homeowner. So were the homeowner not in this program, well, then they would have to go find some contractor who's, maybe 2 towns over or something like that.
Another one, is there a minimum number of residents that need to enroll before we enter into the program?
No, the answer to that is no.
Yeah, okay, so no more questions. That was great, all within the hour. So thank you very much for presenting today. And thank you for everyone who did attend. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you all. We
Bye-bye.
appreciate it.